Welcome to the Dog Nerd Show, where we geek out over our best friends. I'm Megan.
And I'm Michael, and this is a show about all things dog.
Hey, everybody. We've got an important show for you today. It is summertime, and it is hot here in Georgia. So we want to talk to you guys about how to avoid getting your dog overheated in the summer months, because I think a lot of times we want to take our dogs everywhere and do all sorts of things with them because the weather is pretty, but it's hot. So there's a lot of considerations that we all need to think about.
Yeah, heat stroke's a very serious issue with dogs, and every year we lose a number of dogs to heat stroke. So I think it's very important that we talk about this.
And completely avoidable in many situations. So thing number one, walk your dog in the cooler hours of the day.
Yeah, and those cooler hours are usually early in the morning before the sun's reached its apex. And if you've done yard work or anything like that, you know around noon to 2:30, it is hot in the summertime. And that's anywhere in the United States.
Yeah, actually, as a skin cancer survivor myself, I know that 10 and 2 are the times that you don't want to be in the sun because the sun is the hottest. So, and if you're in Georgia or, a warm climate like we are, it's really got to be early morning or late into the evening because it stays pretty hot here into the evening. So we're not like Los Angeles here where it gets cool at night. No, it stays pretty warm and humid. So for us, the early morning hours are the best.
Yeah, I would agree. Because another thing too is humidity is an issue. It's hot. So I've been in the desert when it's been 120 degrees, and I've been in South Georgia when it's 95 degrees, but 1,000% humidity. So, but humidity is a big issue because that's how you. As humans,
it's harder for a dog to cool in the humid air than it is the drier air. So,
exactly.
All right. So number 2, check the pavement. This is one that I think a lot of people forget about, but lay the back of your hand down on the pavement and feel what that feels like and hold it there for at least 7 seconds. And if it's too warm for you, it's going to be too warm for your dog's feet.
Yeah, because that's we think of it as a tough area for dogs. It's actually a very important area for dogs, and there's some sensitive stuff going on there. That's how dogs, it's the only place that they sweat is on their paws.
Yeah.
But they have very sensitive pores down there that if they get clogged or heated up or anything like that, that's very serious. So,
well, I think people think, well, my dog has, calloused, rough paws if it's an older dog, but it's still not heat proof.
Right.
So that hot pavement can burn your dog's paws. And then that's an ordeal to try to care for and help them recover from. So again, that's why you want to get out in the early parts of the day. If for some reason you can't, or you're taking your dog to an event or something, get little booties. These are only 2 of the 4, but these are cloth on the front. They're hard rubber on the bottom, and they'll go on your dog's paws. So they will have to get used to walking in them. But if you absolutely positively have to be out and it's hot, if you're not out there barefoot because it's too hot, your dog shouldn't be either. So he or she's gonna need some shoes.
Yeah, I think we've all walked across concrete or asphalt as kids and you did that tippy toe hot tin roofs dance, but your dog's feet are very important. So yes.
So number 3, always carry a water bottle for your dog and for yourself.
Yep.
So obviously you want to keep yourself hydrated, but you want to keep your best friend hydrated too. And this, y'all, you're going to laugh when you see, this is so old. We got this 17 years ago.
Yep.
maybe a little later than that because it was referred to by a Bernese mountain dog parent that I met. But this is called a gulpy. And so, forgive us for the fact that it's beat up and scuffed up.
It's got some mileage on it, guys.
It has a lot of mileage on it. So it's like a little bottle with a trough. So this, oops, I just spilled it everywhere. So the trough part comes off. And so you can fill up the water, and then it'll start, as you can see, start coming out on its own, the water will, but you can squeeze it to fill the trough up more. And then your dog just drinks from the trough. So there's lots of other products like this. There, different designs. You can just get a collapsible bowl and keep it in your car as long as you have access to a clean, fresh water. So definitely have something that your dog can drink clean water from.
Oh, yeah, that's extremely important. And for you, too. So if you're out walking your dog and it's warm or it's going to get warm, you need to be hydrated, too, because you're no good to your dog if you're,
passing out,
having heat stroke.
Absolutely. So. Yeah. Okay. So what number was that? That was
3. So
that was 3.
We're on number 4.
Which is actually, okay, here. Don't overexert your dog, or don't let your dog overexert themselves. So we get it. Our terriers, when they were young, they would go full force no matter what. They don't always realize it's, 92 degrees with 100% humidity, and I'm going to be feeling it really soon. So be your dog's parent. Make sure that they understand they can't overexert themselves in the hot hours. So if they want to run and play and chase the ball, do it in those morning hours,
right,
or in the evening hours, but not during the heat of day. And I know I'm dominating this conversation here, but I have a little pet peeve with this one because I see way too many people jogging with their dogs at noon, 11 o'clock, and that poor dog's got its tongue hanging all the way out the side of its mouth, and it's keeping up with its owner because it's what it does, but the dog's probably going to get overheated.
Yeah, and I get it. Some people like to go out and they love the heat. They love to get a good sweat going, to run or walk in the heat of the day. That's fine. You go ahead and do that because you have enough sense to know, well, hopefully you do, to know I need to stop or I need to hydrate. Your dog doesn't know that. So it's relying on you to do that.
And your dog can't tell you, hey, buddy, I don't feel so good. Can we stop? Your dog will give you some signs that we'll talk about later toward the end of this video, but they're not going to be able to express that to you. And like Michael said earlier, because dogs only sweat through their paws, and it's not a lot, they can't cool themselves like we can with our sweat, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a different physiology altogether.
Not only that, and we've talked about this and we've mentioned it when we've done our breed videos. Certain breeds just do not do well in heat.
Yeah.
So you need to know your breed too. And if you have, a mixed breed dog, you need to know that as well and know the signs, which we'll get to here in a minute. But some breeds, for instance, our breed, the Border Terrier, is not really a summer dog.
They don't tolerate the heat because they're bred in the English-Scottish border. And we can say firsthand of going to Scotland in August and thinking we had the appropriate clothing. We had to go buy warm, like sweaters and,
right,
stuff to keep us warm because it was very, very cool there.
Right. So
these dogs are, that like Michael said, know their history, know their breed. Any of the smushed face breeds, which I always pronounce this wrong, you guys know, brachia, whatever. You know what I'm talking about? The pugs.
English bulldogs.
Yes. Anything that's got a smushed in nose, they have an even harder time cooling themselves. So you parents really need to make note of this for sure.
Yeah.
So, all right. So that was number 4.
Number 5.
I didn't mark it, but see, that's what it is. Number 5 is, come on, people.
Yeah, this is a no-brainer, or it should be a no-brainer.
It should be a no-brainer. This is, do not leave your dog in a car, period.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, don't leave your dog in a car because the car gets hot. The dog can't cool itself. It's already got a fur coat on. So it's sitting in your car in a fur coat while you're in Target running a quick errand that in 10 minutes, your dog could be in heat stroke, maybe even less depending on where you live.
It doesn't take long. And we're going to do a video. We may link it here, what we're going to call a short video where we're going to actually demonstrate that. But it doesn't take long. Mm-mm. And it doesn't have to be extremely hot.
And you cracking your windows, even if they're like, a foot and a half open, that's not giving your dog cool air, and it's not going to keep your dog cool. And I have seen people who have done this where they leave their dog in the car and all the windows are down. Well, how do you know someone's not just going to come steal your dog?
Or your dog's going to jump out. It's just not a good idea. Every year we hear about dogs dying in hot cars. Unfortunately, every year we hear about children dying in hot cars.
Yep.
It's a serious issue. If people are dying, if dogs are dying, it should be a great indicator of, I shouldn't do this. So if you're running an errand and you can't take your dog with you into that errand,
leave them home.
Leave them home.
They would much rather be sleeping in the air conditioning than tagging along with you while you go run your errands.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And you know what? Don't put a bystander in the position of having to know what to do. I've been in that position where I've had to go to the grocery store, and say, this car is outside and it has a dog in it and it looks like it's in distress. If you don't find the person, then we're calling the police and we may have to break open the window.
Just so you know, there are certain municipalities, and I know, for instance, one here in Georgia, I have experience with this because I knew the person that was involved in it. They did the run in for a quick errand, and a police officer saw this dog, broke the window, and then when the person came out, actually charged that person with animal cruelty. So some municipalities take it very, very seriously.
And we wish they all did, because I think in Florida, I could be wrong, so comment if I am.
First of all, if you're doing this in Florida, I mean, you don't need a dog.
I think in Florida, it's legal to actually break the window if you see a child or a dog in distress in a vehicle. But don't put somebody else in that position to have to, have that on their conscience if you left your dog in the car and they're trying to figure out what to do. Can I save this dog, etc. So yeah, just your dog really doesn't want to come with you. I mean, I promise you, even if your dog loves you a whole lot, if you love your dog as much as they love you, you'll just leave them home if you can't bring them inside.
Correct.
So,
yeah.
All right. So now we're on to number 5.
Okay. Number 5. Well, that was number 5. That
was number 5.
So
we're now number 6.
Number 6.
I forgot to label. Do you want to take this one?
Sure. So don't shave your double coated dogs.
Yeah. So a lot of people think, oh, well, my husky really, I've got a husky. I live in Georgia. I'm just going to shave it. That is really doing worse for your dog. And the reason why is because the top coat, which you're shaving, is actually the coat that keeps the airflow happening. It's that undercoat that keeps them warmer. So you just want to make sure that if you have a double coated dog, that you are using a slicker brush or a Furminator, something to get that undercoat out. Now, I will caveat this with saying we have Border Terriers, and Finley Border Terriers are hand stripped. So like a husky, you don't cut their coat, right? You just brush them. You blow out the coat or whatever, or you get their undercoat out. But terriers, they aren't clippered with, grooming clippers. They actually, the coat is stripped. So it's the dead coat is pulled out. And when some dogs just don't tolerate it, or some, as they age, they don't tolerate it. Right. So a lot of people do have to turn to clipping their dog at that point. Just know that when you're doing that, it's no longer weather resistant. It's no longer got the heating and cooling effects of that top coat like it did before. So just, I will say, because we do clipper Finley, and I don't want anyone to, say you're telling us, do as I say, not as I do.
Right. So there's exceptions to all rules, right? And that's one exception. But in general, you want to brush out or blow out the undercoat, because that's what causes the
heat.
That's what traps that heat in. It's the top coat actually helps.
It helps the airflow to keep them cool. So number 7. Okay. I don't like when people have outside dogs because I don't understand it. Your dog wants to live with your pack. So if, however, you do have an outside dog, or your dog spends a lot of time unattended outside, you have got to make sure there is shade for that dog, because we have seen situations here in Georgia where it's an animal cruelty situation where dogs are left with no shelter from the elements. So in the summer, that means no shelter from the sun. And my goodness, it gets hot here and the sun just beats down on you. And then in the cooler months, they don't have anything to keep them warm out of the elements or to keep rain off. So look, if you have an outside dog, please consider making it an inside dog. If you're not going to do that, you've got to make sure there's shade and plenty of fresh, clean water.
Right. So a little history. Back when they were building farmhouses, Georgia, Kansas, wherever, a farmhouse, it doesn't matter. They used to always leave an opening under the porch. And that's where the dogs would go and live because it was shaded. There was no grass. Cool. They could dig and make little nests. But, you probably don't have that, at your modern house. So, put a tent up, put some sort of shade up, and even if your dog does, live inside the house, but you work in the farming industry or you work in something where you're outside, and your dog's with you, make sure, there's a shaded place or a place that dog can go to get out of the heat and out of the sun.
Absolutely. And we'll notice it, back when, we would walk the dogs longer than we do now, even in the morning or evening hours, they would gravitate toward the shade. Again, we were saying border terriers, they really don't do great above 85, maybe even 80.
Yeah.
But you can tell they gravitate toward the shade on a walk, or if we were at an event or something, they would.
Same way we do.
Yeah.
Same way we do. I mean, if you go out and you have the option of standing in the shade or standing in the sun, 9 times out of 10, you're going to choose a shade because it's going to be
cooler, multiple
degrees cooler, yep. Right? So it's the same principle.
And have you ever noticed that Riley did this a lot? Finley did it too. They would, because like in the mornings there was a lot of dew on the grass, mm-hmm. They would splay out their bellies in the grass and take a little break on a walk. So that's another way they're trying to cool themselves down, is by getting that cool, dewy grass on their bellies. Yeah. So you look for the signs, know your dog. Let's talk about signs that your dog may be overheating. So some things to look for. So again, we talked about how dogs do sweat some through their paw pads, but mostly they're cooling themselves through their panting. So right. You may not be able to tell if it's just regular panting. Panting can also be a sign that they're in pain. Maybe they've got a pinched nerve.
Or excited. I mean, it's how they express themselves.
Yeah. So the panting though, it's harder to cool themselves when the weather is hot, and then you layer on humidity, then it's even more difficult. Right. So if you see excessive panting, that's an early warning sign. Again, we talked about like the tongue hanging out of the mouth. And if you see that with an abundance of drooling, those could be signs that get your dog in the shade, start cooling them down. If they start getting unstable on their feet or collapse, or their gums have a different tint, it could be a bluish purple, a bright red, or pale. Those are signs that absolutely your dog is in distress. And then keeping on that track, disorientation, vomiting, diarrhea, labored breathing, or anxiety, you got to get your dog to the vet. Now, you've got to start your cooling measures first, though, and we'll talk about how to cool your dog. I would say if you don't have a thermometer with you, say you're out at a festival or something, you can't take your dog's temperature, but look for those signs. And probably the first thing is to douse your dog in some water. Get them into, if there's a lake or a creek or something,
Right.
get them into. If not, put some water on them. Make sure it's tepid.
Yeah, you don't want to go throwing super cold water on top of them, because what it does is it constricts the blood vessels, and it can actually make them hotter.
Yep.
So what you want to do is you want to just, tap cool
lukewarm water. Just get it on them. If you've got a towel or a blanket, get that wet, and you can put that on the dog to help cool.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be cold water because it's not directly on the skin.
Right.
But start cooling, get the water on the coat, and get airflow on them. So if you have a fan, get them in front of a fan.
Yep.
If you don't, on the way to the vet, wet your dog, roll down all the windows, turn up the AC, get that airflow going so they can start to cool down. And of course, shade, make sure they're in the shade.
If you can get them inside and get them into air conditioning, that's optimal. That's, get the water on them, get them in the air conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm talking about, get them in your car, turn your AC up, get them to the vet. It's super important because it happens really, really quick, and it can go downhill really, really quick. So,
yeah, their internal organs can start to
shut down. Yeah.
and it's not something that
usually if it gets to that point, it's really tough to reverse it.
Yeah. So hopefully you guys never have to deal with that. Oh, one thing is, if you are like at home and you do need to bring their temperature down, you can put frozen peas or something like that you've got in the fridge. Put a towel in between the frozen pack and their skin, but put it on their groin area, under their armpits, and on either side of their neck. You can rotate, start one place and then rotate. But just know with that, be mindful, know their temperature, because you don't want to reverse it and then get them too cold. So hopefully you don't have to do that. Just know your dog. Get them wet. We've had instances where we're like, man, the dogs look really hot. So we just got them wet, got them inside, and they cooled down.
So with this thing here, what's kind of cool about this, it's meant for drinking, right? And sometimes Finley in particular will just, he's too excited, he doesn't want to drink. We'll take this thing and tip it over him and put it on him.
Sprinkle it on there.
Sprinkle the water on him, and that tends to help. And he receives that really well.
Yeah, that was back when he was a spry young fella,
Yeah.
and he would just be so excited about a hike and wouldn't want to drink. So we would just sprinkle him with water to make sure that he was. And something else that I saw in our research is sometimes they don't drink because they're trying so hard to cool themselves through panting that you may not really want to force them to drink, because they may just be trying to cool themselves. So sprinkling them with the water is an option. But we really hope this is valuable information for you guys. Please share this with your fellow dog lovers and dog parents, because we don't want anyone to have to lose their dog through heat stroke. It happens fast, like Michael said, and it's just not a good thing. So we hope this helped. Please let us know in the comments, if you've ever gone through this yourselves. Let us know if you have any other tips that maybe we didn't share. Please let us know. Because I think I had a dog person years ago tell me you could take rubbing alcohol and put it on their belly, where their skin is exposed, because the cooling effects of rubbing alcohol. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but
I know when I was a kid and you had a fever, they would, if you went to school nurse, she would put rubbing alcohol on you. So
maybe it is a thing that you could do.
So, and I know we're wrapping up, but it's probably is, because when I lived out in California, we were working on a TV show, and it was out in the desert, and they have to have medics on site, and they had a cooler full of towels and in the cooler was mouthwash, ice water. And I said, why mouthwash? And she said, well, it's the alcohol in it. It actually cools your body down. So there's probably some validity to that.
To the rubbing alcohol.
Look that up though, because we haven't researched that fully. I don't know
but it makes sense.
Yeah.
And as always, we're not vets, so
yeah, exactly.
Please check with your vet. And if your dog is ever in any distress of any kind, get to the vet.
Yeah.
Don't wait. We've given you some tips that you can do as you're getting your dog to the vet, but don't wait. Get there. Get a professional to see them. And but hopefully you won't have to deal with this in the first place. All right, guys.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for watching. We love hearing from you. We would like to even have some of our viewers on the show. So even if we've already talked about the breed of dog that you have, or maybe you have a mixed breed, we want to talk about you and your dog and give that opportunity to our viewers. So shoot us an email at dognerdshow@gmail.com. You can follow us everywhere on social media at dognerdshow. And you want them to subscribe to the channel, maybe?
I would love a subscription from you. And I also would love if you ring that notification bell. And, hey, give us a thumbs up. If you really like the content, we'd love to see those thumbs up. Yeah, folks, we really, really appreciate it. We do this for you guys. And thank you for all your lovely comments and encouragement. And we look forward to speaking to you, hopefully in the near future, and we look forward to these episodes every time we do one. So
until next time, guys.
Bye.